Welcome to this special weapon tier list for Season 7 of the finals. Today we are ranking every weapon based on their overall usability, whether you are playing solo or in a team, in quick play or ranked games. But this isn't just based on my personal opinion. I have real data documents like average eliminations per round, assist, damage dealt, weapon usage rates, and even win rates percentage. And of course, I will give you my experience as a competitive player to give you that extra insights. Some weapons will surprise you, others might take a hit. So let's dive into this Season 7 weapon tier list, let's go! If you love Unbark or the finals or simply my content, feel free to subscribe to my channel, I would appreciate it a lot. I'm trying my best to make some English videos, so it would help me a lot. I'm also streaming on Twitch, so feel free to watch me here. And you can also join my Discord, we are more than 1000 members. Let's grow this French and English speaking community with me. I would love to have you guys. Thanks a lot. We go back to the video. Let's start with the AKM. It's one of the top 3 most used weapons in the game. But even if it looks like a strong damage weapon, it's actually used more as a support tool than for getting kills. It has one of the lowest average eliminations, but it's really good for assist. It still has a big magazine, so you can put out a lot of bullets. A decent firepower overall. So I will put the AKM in tier B for now, somewhere in the middle, and just so you know, some weapons might move later, depending on how the rest of the list goes. Now the FCAR. It's often compared to the AKM since they have some similarities, but overall, the FCAR is more effective for getting kills, and even for assists. It's the second most used weapon right now, does more average damage, and has a higher win rate. Personally, it's one of my favorite weapons, but a lot of players complain about its recoil, and it also has 7 fewer bullets than the AKM, so missing a few shots can really cost you. So I'm placing the FCAR in tier A for now. The IRN 220, the newest light weapon added in Season 6. It became popular really fast. After a few balance changes from Unbark, it's close to be one of the strongest weapons in the game. It does good damage at both close and long range, and it works well in most situations. But still, it's not one of the most picked weapons, and it doesn't have a very high win rate either. Maybe it's because the handling feels a bit different. Either way, it's still a strong weapon, so just like the AKM, I'm putting it in tier B for now. The FAMAS is a weapon I've played a lot too, and it's been getting more and more popular each season. Its burst fire and high damage make it really strong, but you need to be accurate to get the most out of it, and hit every shot in a burst. It can melt any class, and it actually has the highest average assist. It also does almost as much damage and gets almost as many kills as the FCAR. So for me, I'm putting in tier A. Now a AV weapon, the Shack 50. Released in Season 5, this weapon had moderate popularity. It does a lot of damage at close to mid-range, but it can be hard to use for some players. It's actually one of the weapons with the lowest eliminations and damage overall, but it's still used quite a bit. So for now, I'm putting the Shack 50 in tier B. Let's move on the M60, which I think is pretty similar to the Lewis or even the Shack 50. It's a big LMG with a lot of bullets, and it's pretty versatile, but overall, it sits right in the middle for most stats. Damage, eliminations per round, assist, I don't see as many players using it anymore. I think it mostly comes down to personal preference, so I'm putting it at the same level as the Shack 50, tier B. Perfect timing, because next up is the Lewis. It's a versatile weapon that lets you do some nice tracking, but just like the M60, I'm putting it in tier B. I feel like both weapons are very similar, and it really just comes down to personal preference. Alright, now things get a bit tricky. We are talking about the minigun, the new AV weapon from Season 6. It's literally a weapon of mass destruction that can kill in 1 second, but it takes time to spin up and it's slow to start shooting. Your movement is also super limited while using it, so if you're not mechanically skilled, this weapon can be really punishing, because you need to anticipate fights and have a good game sense to make it work. For new players, I think Lewis or M60 are way more forgiving. It's hard to place it between tier B or tier C, but for now I will go with tier C. The M11. Honestly, I used to see it a lot at the start of the game. It was a pretty popular weapon, but over time it's been pushed aside by stronger and more stable options. The M11 has one of the hardest recoils to control, and even though it has a big mag, it's really only effective at close range. Stats-wise, it sits around the middle for most things, but I think for most players it belongs in tier C. And just to be clear, if a weapon is in tier C or D, that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means you really need to master it and use it often to be effective. Anyone can be strong with any weapon if they play it a lot and use it in the right way. Speaking of stronger weapons, let's talk about the XP54. In my opinion, it's still one of the most balanced and enjoyable weapons to use for light class. It's actually the most used weapon in the game, with some of the best stats like kills, assist and damage per round. It's also one of the most effective and versatile guns at both close and long range. The XP54 has been one of the top weapons for a long time now. For me, it's clearly the first weapon that deserves a tier S spot, because of how consistently strong it's been across seasons, and how it works well for both new and experienced players. Now it's time for the SH1900, or as most people call it, the double barrel. It's one of the shotguns in the game available for the light class, and it's been the center of a lot of controversy because of how powerful it is. Because people say it can two-shot any class. It's an extremely strong weapon when used correctly, especially with advanced movement mechanics, using the dash specialization for example. But be careful, it's also very punishing. If you miss a shot, it usually means you're dead. And the stats even show it has a negative win rates on average, so it's a bit risky. I'd say it's a very strong weapon, but only if you really learn how to use it well. So for now, I'm putting the double barrel in tier B. Alright, we've got more shotguns coming, so get ready. Next up is the M26 another light weapon that I think is less situational than the double barrel. It has more ammo and a faster fire rate, which makes it easier to use. It does less damage per shot, but it's still very effective. It's also less punishing and gives you more chances to pressure your enemies. In fact, it's one of the top weapons for average kills per round. So I'm placing the M26 in tier A. Let's move on to the famous CERBERUS, which was recently nerfed. Back in Season 6, everyone was talking about it because the weapon was way too strong. Now it does less damage, but it can still be really useful. Like all the shotguns, missing a shot can cost you the fight, so you need to stay close to your enemies and hit your shots. The CERBERUS also adds a shot burn effect, which puts extra pressure on your target. Back in Season 6, I would put it in tier A, maybe even tier S, but now I think it deserves a solid tier B. Now we are moving on the iconic model 1887, the shotgun that terrified players back in Season 3. I used to play it a lot back then, but after some nerfs to its damage and range, it quickly fell out of the meta and most players switched to the CERBERUS instead. But recently, with the launch of Season 7 and the new buff, we are starting to see more and more players give it another try, and that's great to see. You need to play it with an aggressive style and good movement mechanics, and right now, it's almost as strong as the CERBERUS. So I'm putting the model in tier B as well. The SA-1216, one of the go-to weapons for the AV, and honestly, the one I've always recommended the most since Season 1. Just like the XP54, this shotgun has been consistently strong over multiple seasons. It had a few issues in some patches, but overall, it's always come back as a weapon to play on this class. It deals a huge close-range damage, and when you pair it with the Winch Claw, it's devastating. It puts a lot of pressure on enemies and works well in many different situations. For me, the SA-1216 definitely deserves a solid spot in tier S. The KS-23 is an underrated heavy weapon that still needs to prove itself. It's also a shotgun, but it's much more precise, kind of like a DMR. It does big damage and can even destroy the environment pretty easily. A player who really knows how to use it can dominate games. And I think the KS has improved a lot over the seasons. Even though it's near the bottom of almost every stat, till the assist and damage per round and win rate, I still think it deserves at least a tier C. It's a very punishing weapon, but with the right skill, it can shine. Surprise pick with the V9S, which has been rising in popularity during Season 7. I'm seeing it more and more in my games, and honestly, it's a great weapon for new players. It's easy to use, reloads are really fast, and it's very accurate, letting you put a lot of pressure at close and mid-range. Even if it's not amazing yet, I think it's solid enough, especially for beginners. So I'm putting the V9S in tier B. Now the 93R, which has made an amazing comeback this season after the max size got increased, it's become one of the best light weapons right now. Stat-wise, it's near the top across the board, and even in-game, whether in high-level matches or more casual ones, it's really strong now. Just for that, I'm putting the 93 here in tier A. Now let's talk about the underrated medium weapon, the R357, the classic revolver. In the hands of a good player, this weapon is deadly. It does huge damage, and headshots are devastating. Most people don't want to take a 1v1 against a revolver player, but it's also a very punishing weapon. If you miss a shot, you might lose the fight. It's a mid-tier weapon with high potential, so I'm putting it in tier B. Next up is the 50 AKIMBO, which I think is one of the biggest surprises among the AV weapons. It's pretty easy to pick up, but still requires some aiming skill. It's very strong at a close, mid, and even long range. It does big damage, whether you hit the head or the body. For me, the AKIMBO is one of the most underrated AV weapons, and it can compete with a lot of others. Even if it sits around the middle in the stats, I don't think I'm wrong putting it in tier A. Now it's time for the light class sniper, the SR84. It's a very situational weapon. Some players can be really good with it, but it depends a lot on good movement and strong aim. For new players, it's really hard to do well with, and the most of the time, you end up not helping your team much. I think the weapon is still too hard to use effectively in most situations, even though it has potential in the hand of a skilled players. So I'm putting the SR84 in tier C. The LH1, the well-known DMR for the light class. It used to be popular because it was really strong, but now it's getting used less and less. Why? Because it's pretty punishing. The recoil is tough to control if you don't know the weapon, and it also does less damage than it did at its peak. So when you've got weapons like the XP54 or the 93R, you kinda ask yourself, why bother with the LH1? It actually has the lowest win rate of all weapons right now. So it's hard to decide between tier B or tier C, but I think tier B is still fair. The bow. I'm going to talk about it the same way I talked about the SR84. It can be amazing in the hands of someone who really knows how to use it, but again, you need to build a specific playstyle around it. It's not for everyone, and just like the sniper, it's very punishing. That said, it does high damage, especially to the head, and can apply a lot of pressure from long range. But you need to have a great positioning and know exactly when to engage fights. I think this weapon still needs to prove itself before it can make it to tier B. So for now, I'm placing the bow in tier C. The Pike 556. This weapon has been a nightmare for a lot of players. It's been super strong, got nerfed, then buffed again because nobody was using it anymore, but now in Season 7 it's making a big comeback. It was clearly one of the best weapons in the game. It had some of the top stats for damage, kills, assist and win rate. The damage is really solid, you can kill from pretty much anywhere, and the fire rate is crazy good. The Pike has become the deadliest weapon for the medium class lately, and honestly, it's 100% deserved a tier S. The CB01 repeater. I actually hesitated to put it in tier A because of how strong it can be at taking down enemies. A player with a good aim can be really deadly with it. It's kind of similar to the Pike in how it's used, but it has a slower fire rate and a smaller magazine. Though it deals more damage per shot, it's a weapon that works best when you pick your fights at the right time. But it's also a very punishing one if you make a mistake. I think it still needs to prove itself a bit more, so for now I'm putting it in tier B. The CL40, a weapon that a lot of players complain about. It's literally a grenade launcher for the medium class. It was buffed so players don't take as much self-damage when firing it, and after that a lot more people started using it. Mostly because you don't need great aim, you just shoot at an area and it explodes. It's really strong in certain situations, but at long range you will probably be at a disadvantage, and you can still hurt yourself if you are not careful. So it's a good weapon for new players, but it's hard to really climb and improve with it long term. So I'm putting the CL40 in tier B. The MGL32. I think this is the first weapon I'm putting in tier D because in my opinion it's just not effective enough. It's also a grenade launcher, but this time for the AV class. It feels kind of random. While the CL40 explodes on impact, the MGL shoots bouncing projectiles, which makes it really inaccurate. And let's be honest, relying on luck in a game like the finals isn't the best idea. It's at the bottom of almost every stat, so I don't think I'm taking a big risk by putting it at the bottom of the tier list. The dagger is one of the melee weapons in the game, and it's pretty hard to use. It can one-shot from behind, but you still need to get close enough to your enemies, and that's not easy. For new players, I wouldn't recommend this weapon if you are trying to climb the ranks. That said, if you practice a lot and use the right loadouts, you could definitely get good with it. Hard work always pays off, but still, it's a niche weapon, very punishing and not really reliable long term. So I'm putting the dagger in tier C. And to keep it short, I'm going to do the same thing for other melee weapons for each class. Most of them are pretty hard to use, even though you can get really good with them if you combine the red gear and have solid mechanics. But for new players, these weapons can feel confusing to master in an FPS game like this. They are extremely punishing and force you to always play in close range fights, which means you need a lot of movement and mechanic skill to really make them work. I will make an exception for the sledgehammer, which I'm putting in tier B. Even after its recent nerf, I still find it more useful, but for the spear, for me, it's going in tier D. It just doesn't feel useful enough, and the attack movement feels too clunky. And for the last two, the throwing knives and the flamethrower, I'm putting them both in tier B. They are both pretty solid weapons for new players. The knives don't need ammo, so you can keep throwing them non-stop and still deal big damage. It's kind of the same with the flamethrower. You do have the reload sometimes, but you don't need a perfect aim, and it's still effective, even if only at close range. Overall, they are simple to use and can give good results. So they are a good fit for players who are just starting out. That's why I will put them in tier B. Alright, that's it for this Season 7 weapon tier list for the finals. I based this on the latest stats from Season 6 and what's currently happening in the game right now. Of course, some weapons might change tiers after future balance updates, but I will keep making these videos after each season to help keep the community up to date. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to like, drop a comment, and most importantly, subscribe to help grow the finals community. Thanks for watching, and I will see you soon in the next one. This was etelco. Ciao ciao.